you know, YouTube eats content like a monster, and we've been eating some up. But this has been a great experiment for me, and I've really enjoyed the time I've been able to do this for the past several weeks. What I'm going to do here is basically put up a pre-recorded podcast today to thank people for everything they've done to make this happen, and also to talk about some of the projects that I just completed and some of the projects that are upcoming. If this happened to show up in your feed, thank you for joining us. And if you're a subscriber and you got a notification that it's been put up, let's begin by just saying I have no intention of wasting your time. I want to use this new project, which I'm going to call Friday Qualifying Report, as a way to basically inform you of what's going on with the process that I'm in with this channel and the things I intend to do next. I called it Friday Qualifying Report for a couple of reasons. First of all, I'd like to get it out before the weekend starts, so I'm going to try to put it up on Fridays. Second of all, in professional drag racing, you show up to track, but you don't qualify until Friday. So this basically is a pre-qualifying report. In other words, what I want to do is tell you about things that I'm hoping to do, and I intend to make the thing work and then get it to the final round. Again, I don't know if I'll be doing this weekly, but the bottom line is I intend to make it work, and like I said, not waste your time. I know podcasts are normally live, and I will certainly respond to the comments that you give after it's been put up. At this point, I have not found a program I'm comfortable with yet to make this happen, but that is coming. As you know, I do live TV on occasion for Meekum, although it's only a couple of minutes at a time. But certainly it's not a problem with being able to do this live. I just need to figure the technology out. So I am a newbie at YouTube in some ways still. So first of all, I'd really like to say thank you to everybody who has been on board with this. I've done this for less than a month. As of this morning, there were 91,000 views. There were 1,092 subscribers. And that's all thanks to you guys. I could have never dreamed that this would have taken off like it did. So for those of you who have just tuned in to view a little bit, thank you for spending time here. And again, for you subscribers, I was so surprised to see how many people wanted to see this kind of material. And I will, of course, continue to try to generate it on a regular basis. I really have to give a shout out to a couple of mentors. Now, the first one would be Brad Corner of Corner Classic Car Hunter. Brad came up to me at Meekum in Kissimmee and said, look, you really need to consider doing this. And I, to be honest with you, I poo-pooed it. I'm like, I don't have the time. I don't want to put the effort in. But he continued to encourage me. So I finally went ahead and took the plunge. And, and he came up to Bristol on his own nickel. We had a great time together, hanging out, talking. We stayed together, and it was just a great opportunity for me to kind of get my feet wet in the YouTube process of content creation. And to Brad Corner of Corner Classic Car Hunter, I owe you a great deal of gratitude for what you did for me. And then, of course, there's Uncle Tony of Uncle Tony's Garage. Tony DeFeo and I both started writing at about the same time. He was on staff up in the New York City area with CSK. He's the guy who actually started Mopar Action before Cliff Gromer took it over. Chased the Nitro Circus for a while, got tired of that, and now has a very, very successful YouTube channel with Uncle Tony's Garage. Now, Tony, he was the one who actually gave me the hard numbers that told me I could actually make money doing this. And so I'll be honest with you, I don't want to be mercenary about it, but if I'm going to put the time in here, it's got to generate income some way or another. And Tony was the guy who actually gave me some really important pointers about how to create content, how to put content up there. So between him and Brad, it really made a difference in how quickly this thing accelerated. Like I said, I'm shocked at how fast this thing came up through the gears. So again, thank you so much. Special shout out to Kevin Shaw at Mopar Connection. He also put up one of my videos very early on. He does a weekly release that talks about the newest content on the web related to Mopar. And again, he's like the Energizer Bunny, just like Brad, just like Tony. These guys are always putting content up there. But Kevin certainly helped as well with his exposure. So thank you guys. Again, I could not have done this without you, literally. And had it laid over, I got to be honest with you, I probably would not have continued on, because it can't be something that's a zero-sum game. I'm not interested in putting my face up on YouTube for its own sake. Like I said, not mercenary, but I got to make money at it to justify the effort that goes in. So again, to everybody, a thank you. So here we are, a week displaced from the NHRA Super Grip Thunder Valley Nationals at Bristol Dragway. To be honest, it had been a year since I'd been to an NHRA national event. Over a year, actually. For the first time in 30 years in 2023, I had made no NHRA national events. The only big car show I did, big event I did, was Bump Day at the Indy 500, thanks to some friends at Meekum. So it was wonderful to be back in that environment again. And what was really cool is, as you saw from some of my previous videos, Bristol is sort of my home track. But to be quite frank, it was always my IHRA track. I'm not saying I was resentful to NHRA, I just never really absorbed what had happened there with all the changes. And when I go into NHRA national events in the past, it's always been focused on Mopar, because that was generally what I was creating editorial for. I really got to soak in the Bristol environment, really for the first time since the change had happened. And it was just so marvelous to hear the sound again. I put some shorts up just on the sound, because I think it's so cool to hear the echo, down to where the timing shack is, and down to where the scales are, and see some of the racers I hadn't seen for a while, like David Barton. I mean, I just had a wonderful, wonderful time with the whole environment. And as you know, if you were following along, I've kind of tried to focus on some of the nostalgia funny car stuff that was there. Didn't do much with factory stock, and there wasn't a reason for that, just got caught up in everything else going on. Brad Corner and I really felt like we had the ability to just kind of generate stuff on the fly, and he was a big help for showing me how to get this stuff up and running as quickly as possible. Perhaps the biggest thing that happened this weekend was spending time with Shirley Muldowney. Those of you who know me know that I did some stuff for Shirley PR-wise during the 1990s. But being able to sit with Shirley, we actually missed the whole Friday evening qualifying session, because for the first time that weekend, she didn't have a lot of people at her booth. And Brad and I just sat down and just chatted with her about all kinds of things. And it was a wonderful, wonderful time to be able to hang out with her. Shirley was also inducted into the Bristol Hall of Fame, the Thunder Valley Hall of Fame, and had a bittersweet story to tell about coming down in 1965 with her late husband, Jack, and the trouble they went through getting NHRA to actually let them race. Bristol in 65, of course, was the very first East Coast national event other than the original Winter Nationals at Daytona. At that point, NHRA was still growing. And Bristol was a huge deal for everybody east of the Mississippi to have a national event, but it was also in the South. And frankly, Shirley had to deal with the way she was treated there. But victory is proven right by its children. And it was wonderful to have an opportunity to see her honored this way as well. Here's also, for the first time in about 10 years, I had a chance to catch up with Clay Millican. Now, I've stopped by his pit area on occasion, but, because I had a reason to actually interview him and not just an aside to say hello, he was very gracious to sit down with us for a quick interview on Saturday. And, we remembered some of the things we had done in the past. I'd done Clay's PR at his first NHRA national event in Chicago with the White Sox. I had been around as he transitioned out of the sportsman classes in IHRA to IHRA Top Fuel, where he was a multi-time world champion, actually probably won more money there than most NHRA professional racers have ever won. So here at Bristol, he had a good weekend, went all the way to the semifinals before an explosion took him out. But, he's got a lot of fans up here in the mountains, and it was wonderful to see the response he was getting from them. I'm looking forward to seeing him again at Indy. He's a good guy. I do have one final project from Bristol I'm going to try to put together in the next week. This was something that just came up on a whim, but I thought I would go over to the Austin Proc pit area in between the semifinals and finals. I knew NHRA was pushing these guys to thrash. They wanted to get the pro cars out of the way before the storms came in. Most of the weekend the weather was beautiful, but thanks to Mother Nature here in the mountains, and not to mention a little bit of that government geoengineering, not that I'm going to talk about that today, but the storms were coming in, and so I followed Proc and his crew doing this final round thrash. It wasn't with any kind of authorization, just stood on the ropes and watched these guys go through it. But it'll be about 20 minutes, and when I get it done, it will follow you from the time the car is pulled into the pit area, through the various servicings they do, and Proc doing the chutes, mixing fuel, and then towing up to the starting line and winning the event. So I think it'll be a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to getting that finished. So again, it was great to get back into the swing of NHRA things at the NHRA Super Grip Thunder Valley Nationals. My home track is still my home track, and I was very, very happy to be back in the echo of Thunder Valley.